Only way you can survive is for each of you to claim your rightful place.
Everyone is tested to determine who we are and where we belong.
Say goodbye to your families.
Are you nervous?
No. I'm terrified.
So when you were 16, if you were picking a faction, which would you have chosen?
I would have chosen Dauntless, and then the second that I felt like it was a little bit overwhelmingly negative, I would have dropped out to be factionless so that I didn't have to be controlled.
Was there a moment for you during the audition process or during some of the first shoots where you're like, okay, Theo and I can really make this work?
Yeah, you know, Theo walked in, he was kind of the first guy who showed up and was just authentically a dude with strong, sort of militant, masculine qualities, and yet still represented and still was able to be sensitive and vulnerable. You don't often see both of those things.
Welcome to Dauntless.
So it's such a huge, massive film and so many fans. What was it about the character and the role that you were like, okay, I'm going to take this on? Because it's a lot.
Yeah, and you have to be ready to do that, I think, and you have to love the character, I think, to really entertain doing a franchise because, well, a potential franchise, shall we say. But I really did have an affinity with him genuinely from the beginning.
So your character starts out in abnegation, they call them stiffs. So in my mind, I envision that all the stiffs kind of have a guilty pleasure that they kind of cut loose on the side. What do you think his would be?
I don't know if Caleb even has a guilty pleasure. You know, probably what his would be was knowledge. You know, I bet you any time that he could get his hold of a newspaper, he'd be trying to grab it and, you know, trying to get a quick glimpse of the headlines before his parents grabbed it from him. But, you know, that's Caleb, and that's why he leaves to Erudite. He wants to know more.
You don't fit into a category. They can't control you. You can't trust anyone. You have to hide inside a faction to survive.
So at 16, if you had to pick a faction, what faction do you think you would have chosen?
I just would have been desperate to belong to anything. Mm-hmm. Any cohort that would have had me, I would have happily joined.
What faction do you think you would have been in?
I would have been, wanted to have been Dauntless, but would have ended up factionless.
Without giving too much away, usually when you do book to film, you're like, I don't want them to change anything. Yeah. But you guys signed on, and are you like,
you can change the stuff.
Just like,
yeah, just change the ending.
Yeah, but it was, I knew completely what we were getting into, and for me, it was just such a great experience to be part of this film. It is a film that is such a big project.
It helps Triss's sort of arc, and when I read the book and the script, these moments have to happen in a person's life to overcome these things and ultimately become divergent, you know.
You're able to control and conquer your fears. They call it Divergent.
And neither of you guys are strangers to action, guns, weaponry, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. You kind of let all the other cast duke it out in this movie. Were you happy to let them do that in this film?
I think it's a nice twist, isn't it? I mean, I think we're building to something in the second one where that won't be the case. But, you know, it's nice to have a break from all that. And it's nice for people to go in expecting one thing and going, oh, okay, oh, that was different from what I thought. That's been fun, that reaction.
You come into the film and you've definitely had a lot of action experience. So were you helping him out a little bit?
I was, every step of the process. He would come to me and ask me for advice. He would say, like, how do I clench a fist?
Did you kind of come in and you're like, so I've worked with Shailene, so I can give advice working with her?
Well, you know, people...
She's only ever cranky.
You know, there's some action stuff, and then there's times where you actually have to act. And in those moments, Jai would look to me and say, what do I do? And I'd say, right. I can't walk and talk. I can't help you there, buddy. I'm sorry.
Divergence threaten the system. It won't be safe until they're removed.
She's gonna kill me.
So when you're 16, you pick Dauntless. What's the tattoo that you get?
Clearly, it would be a tattoo of it would be a 3-headed dog, and each of the heads would one head would be Ansel, one would be Miles, and one would be Theo. And I would get it right on my bum.
So I asked her what tattoo she would get if she was in Dauntless when she was 16. She said she would get a 3-headed dog, one of the heads being yours.
I knew she would say that. That's why she said my face on her
What would
butt.
you have gotten at... Yeah, she did say on her butt cheek. What would you have gotten at 16?
I would have got her butt on my face.
The world is changing. You'll have to decide who you're loyal to.
All of my life, I've lived by your rules. Not anymore.